So, people, please take your seats again. Let's start with the next one here, which is, of course, everything that's gonna make your. It's gonna be about your mouth watering ahead of lunchtime because we're talking about umami as a necessity. And let's bring up Yair Yosefi, Biz Goldman, and Gustav Johansson on stage. Yeah, come on, man. Come on out. So this is interesting because these are some of the leading umami experts on the planet. And umami is definitely something we need to talk more about. And we should never stop talking about umami. Please have a seat, gentlemen.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so
Umami.
umami, umami, umami. Yeah, it's you there, Yair. Yair, Biz, Gustav, and we're going to talk about umami. First of all, Yair, what is umami?
Umami is, I won't say new because they discovered it about 100 years ago, a new kind of flavor, but taste, sorry. But most of, for what's umami for me, that's the generation of what I feel, not what's real. So umami is a very essential tool to make everything tastier. And when we are talking about plant-based, I think umami is a key to boost the consumption of meat replacement and plant-based food.
We're going to get into that because you mentioned the word meat here, and of course umami is the type of flavor sensation we get from eating meat or Parmesan cheese, or what else is that we have that's super umami?
Combo algae, shiitake mushrooms,
Shiitake mushroom.
tomatoes.
Yeah. Fermentation processes
Fermentation
in large.
gives
Yeah.
renders
What's
umami as well.
fermentation?
That's
Mother's milk.
that's also umami.
This
Okay.
is why you like it. I like it so much. No.
Liked it so much.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You
You
still-
liked it,
You
yes.
liked
Let's
it.
be
You're not
precise.
having
Let's
it
be
still, right?
precise.
Okay, so it's interesting because you also open up here by saying that this is something that's super important when we're converting to more plant-based and more vegan food. So let's start out though by besides defining umami, also defining you guys. Shall we start with you, Gustav? Who are you?
My name is Gustav. As you can see, I run both Sweden's largest vegan food blog, Jävligt Gott, which kind of loosely translates into bloody good, because that's what it has to be. And I'm also the co-founder and culinary leader of the restaurant Shushu.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Biz. What's Biz? We just say Biz.
No,
right?
busy is
Busy,
busy,
busy.
you know, like Americans
Busy,
pronounce
busy.
it. But buzz
Buzz
is very
more
good.
like a bee,
I
right?
like.
Okay.
So I'm an entrepreneur and a filmmaker by training, and a few years ago, together with Yair and another partner, founded the Mediterranean Food Lab, and we are focused on how to make plant-based food more delicious, or to increase deliciousness by orders of magnitude rather than by incremental change. And what we're trying to do is make plant-based food not taste like meat, but be delicious in the way that meat is delicious. Someone actually told us a few days ago, put his finger on it, where he said he's a large investor and he's also a vegan, and he said, you know, I actually don't want an alternative. I don't want a meat alternative. I want an alternative to meat, which is quite different. And we are experimenting, exploring, and studying why people like animal protein. What is it about it that makes it so attractive and delicious? And that's what we're trying to create with the products that we're developing.
Okay, lovely. Yair, who are you?
Well, I don't really know. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
But
We never
professionally,
know.
I've been a chef for the last 25 years. I worked in 3-star Michelin restaurants in Paris, but also created recipes and worked with the industry. And one of the things that we understood together, we knew it, and we started collaborating on, is deliciousness, is creating a deliciousness revolution. I'm obsessed with everything delicious, food, wine, etc. And I think this is a key factor, especially if we are pivoting to talk more about umami. Umami is deliciousness in a way, not only umami, but it's a key factor of deliciousness.
It's very hard to create deliciousness without the umami flavors, right? And the Med Food Lab, so what it is that you are delivering to the world, besides this grand vision of making things more delicious, you have some specifics that you're also handing out to people, that a secret sauce, right?
So yes, we've developed materials for increasing the delicious, and it's funny, like we insist on using this word. We've founded this food tech company, but we refuse most of the time to use the kind of industry speak of organoleptic profile or sensorial traits to talk about this. We say like, that just kind of makes everything vague, and we say, no, we want to talk about deliciousness, and we want to talk about it in different realms. It can be like not delicious, you know, there are like 3 levels. Not delicious, delicious, and fucking delicious. And then we're trying to aim for the fucking delicious level. And what we're doing is creating flavor materials, flavor bases, which can make a wide range of plant materials delicious in the way that that animal protein is delicious. And this could be for meat replacement, for things like TVP, you know, plant-based meat, cell culture meat as well, has also a huge flavor program, but it also could be for the original meat replacement, things like lentils and like chickpeas, which so many people prefer not to eat because they prefer this this kind of rich flavors of animal protein. In a way, actually, when I think about it, the 3 of us here represent a certain spectrum on how to approach and on what we like in deliciousness. And so you have a chef who's coming from the vegan space and thinking about it from that direction, and you have a chef who's a carnivore or a carnivore trying to be a flexitarian, who's obsessed with the flavor of meat, realizes where the world needs to go, all of us do. And in me in the middle, I actually don't like meat. I don't like eating meat, but if I sit next to it, I can't stop. There's something animal, so I represent this like animalistic side. And what we're doing, I just made a list this morning of what we're trying to hit with these kinds of ideas, because I think we had this conversation, Gustav and I yesterday, very briefly in the kitchen, about the idea that umami is not enough to make the kind of deliciousness. Because umami, we can get with monosodium glutamate. We could put MSG and get a lot of umami. But umami is not enough. We think like, first of all, we think there are many shades of umami. I refuse to believe that there's only one kind of receptor on the tongue for umami. We know we have 25 different kinds of receptors for bitterness. So we must have, and people like Helvetis, who's a scientist and a chef, have started saying maybe we have like not 5 or 6 or 7 tastes, but maybe 50. And so I think there are
50 shades
exactly.
of umami.
So that's the first principle, many shades, 50 shades of umami. And the second thing is that it's umami and friends, like the Avengers. You have things like koku or kokumi, and our ability to taste fat. That also. And then there is like, can anybody give me someone to love? Like umami has to have something to love. Umami is a flavor enhancer. If it's enhancing rich, interesting, complex materials, it's great. But we've worked with umami substances. If you put them in a bad plant-based burger, sometimes it enhances the horrible flavor. So you have to be able to enhance something. Yeah. And so there's a lot more going on there.
I often say that you you need to cook for all of your senses. Because you're eating and experience food with all of your senses. Maybe not the hearing as much, like good jazz in the background and chew with your mouth shut. But from a visual perspective, it's extremely important on your expectations of food. So of course, it should look nice with a bunch of herbs and stuff in the presentation. But your expectations on food is going to hugely impact your flavors of it. If it looks like something you could imagine yourself liking, then of course you're going to engage in that food in a totally different way than if you from the offset decided you won't even like it. So the visual perspective of stuff is hugely important. And then texture is also, because if you look at it, but then when you chew on it, it's not at all what you expected. It might be a burger, but it feels like creme brulee. Then it's going to be like, what, there's got to be something wrong with this. And that's something like instinctive. It's your reptile brain saying, this burger is bad, it's not working. And then when you get through those hurdles of expectations and textures, then you have the sensation of flavor and scent. And I think this is where meat and dairy are such heroes in normal cooking, because they are the carriers of most flavor in traditional cooking. A lot of like French and Swedish and Italian cuisine relies heavily on meat and dairy to create flavors, which is umami, salt, bitterness, and fat to carry those flavors. If you take Parmesan, for example, what you're really grating on top of things is fat and umami and salt, and if you take those like parts away, it's really just like a sock left.
Yeah.
Like and even the funkiness has umami to it. So it's those things you really like. And then the scents are what people are like used to thinking when they are spicing food.
No, I think this is so interesting.
Yeah.
Usually you guys hang out in the test kitchen here, and so you can really go there and taste what proper umami is in a vegan context. And I think that's brilliant. We just wanted to bring them up here to advertise what they're doing, essentially. But let's go over to what you're doing at MedFood Lab, this kind of strange duo for being entrepreneurs in the food tech space. I mean, you're not the usual couple, right? They tend to be young and, you know, not drink gin tonic for breakfast and not making films and stuff like that. But you have brought this sense of an intellectual achievement to Umami, I think. And the story around what you're doing is exceptional, because you are the leading heroes of the world when it comes to fermentation. So tell me, how do you make your secret sauces?
So the secret sauces or materials that we're making, which are trying to, so first we think about what they need to do, and they need to hit all these notes that Gustav is talking about. And maybe I thought about one more dimension, is the dimension of time. So you want to know that this thing is also lasting, that it's not over in 30 seconds, and you feel
Absolutely.
good after an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Very rare with some of the plant-based options. People, so we think about that, and then we think, how can fermentation support that? And one of the things we realized is most of the fermentation in the food space is done in, and I don't want to get too nerdy, right, or geeky, but it's done in what's called submerged fermentation, precision fermentation, liquid state, a big tank with liquid. And what's amazing about these tanks is if they're done right, you have the consistent temperature throughout the tank, and you get one metabolite, one flavor material. And we want something, we work in solid states where you can have, because there's lots of different temperatures going on in there, you get a huge diversity of, we look for enzymes. And then these enzymes naturally produced 130 different kinds of enzymes, break down the plant matter of, for example, lentils or peas or side streams like wheat bran, which is a waste stream, or the waste that happens when you make sunflower oil. And these enzymes break these down, and basically what happens is you're converting large molecules which don't have a lot of smell or flavor, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, to very small molecules which have a lot of flavor and aroma. Yeah. Amino acids and peptides, sugars and fatty acids, and then you get this rich soup of many molecules, which in a similar way to animal protein, which are cooked, which have a lot of, and so we do that, and then we figure out how we kind of extract that and concentrate it so that different users, whether it's a food company making a new plant-based burger, or a food company making a stew, or a chef who is looking for chefs who might have used in the past beef concentrate.
Yeah, and I really have to like underscore how important these kinds of products are in the new way of cooking that we have to learn. Like, since meat and dairy are such huge parts of us creating flavors today, when we're trying to create food without, even if we have meat substitutes, those meat substitutes often don't taste as much. If you take soy meat, for example, or beans or lentils, you don't get all those molecules acting up in that kind of cooking. And so having these kind of, like meat today, I'm using like Kikkoman soy and onion broth on a ready-made tin, but that's crude in comparison to this like going down on a molecular level, seeing what's happening and helping us to recreate those experiences without having to wait 3 more years for that plant or that lab-grown fat to come out and do the same thing.
This is here now, and I think I just want to
which is great.
Brag about the fact that I know these guys because I'm so blown away by that fact. Because you cook the most amazing bœuf bourguignon without meat. And I mean, you see it, you smell it, you take the spoon and the broth, you know, it sticks to the spoon in a way. You put it in your mouth, you get that sensation of explosions everywhere, and then it lingers, as you say, for a while. So it's this, to me, this is the ultimate quality type of product that we need to have in order to make vegan food taste really delicious. As we heard Kevin speak about before, you need to nail the customer and over you know, achieve when it comes to customer expectations. So what Gustav, what you said, you really appreciate this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because to me, the way of cooking for me is to go all over the world looking for ways to create flavor, really. I'm looking at the Japanese kitchen, I'm looking at the Chinese, the Indian, to find these traditional methods of recreating big flavors. And it's often easier to find them in kitchens that aren't as dependent on meat and dairy as the traditional European kitchens are, because we're very heavy, we're just adding cream and we get flavors. So I'd rather go to the Japanese kitchen, find soy sauce and kombu and miso and use those in traditional Swedish cooking in order to get some body in my bœuf bourguignon or in my dill shot or
and you
whatever.
know what you can use in order to come up with these umami flavors?
Yeah.
Rye bread.
Rye bread.
So these guys
ferment.
fermented rye bread, old rye bread,
Yeah.
into the most amazing sauce I've ever tasted.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to add that we said a few days ago that we think that deliciousness is a basic human right. Delicious food should be a basic human right, and I think people from the industry should put their mind or be on a mindset that we have to create much better, cleaner, and delicious food if you want this revolution to succeed.
Because honestly, I like a short closure to that. This is not going to work if the food isn't fucking tasty and fucking delicious, really. Because that's the main focal point for people. When they say, what am I going to eat? I'm going to eat the tastiest fucking thing I can get my hands on. Easiest possible way.
And that you can do now.
Yeah, exactly. So if we can make it jävligt gott, then we're fucked.
Yeah, okay.
So sorry for the bad words.
Thank you very much, guys, for coming here and sharing. And you'll be down in the test kitchen, enabling you to try out the future of food. A big round of applause for the Umami people. Oh my God, I'm so hungry. Makes me crave mycoprotein. So Ebba, where are you? You're there.